So, good day everyone. First, let me introduce myself. I am Justine and Narte, and with Diana Kayabyab, we are going to tackle Lesson 3, Feelings as a Modifier of Moral Decision Making. So, on Lesson 2, we've talked about human act and the modifiers act, ignorance, passion, fear, violence, and now let's start discussing the third lesson that we will be tackling now, which is the feeling as a modifier of moral decision making. So, let us start my discussion by asking you, how are you today? Okay. How about you, Ma'am Dayan? How are you?
I'm feeling happy today
It's good
because
to
we're
hear that
going
you're
to
happy.
discuss our lesson.
Okay. So, it's good to hear that you're happy today. So, I'm also glad that we are going to discuss this topic. So, now I'm going to start my discussion. So, feelings in decision making. So, feelings in general is an emotional state or reaction which we experience the physical sensation like joy, feeling of warmth, love, affection, and tenderness. So your feelings is about something that are or the things that you think and feel about your attitude towards it. Okay. So I'm going to show you a small feeling chart. So a small feeling chart. So today, what are you feeling based on the chart?
Happiness.
Okay, so since uh we have the small feeling chart, for example, me now, yes, I'm happy. I'm really happy, and today, even though that yes, a situation still, we find happiness to everyone. So with that, I know that every one of us feel differently. Some of you may feel that sad for today. Some may also feel happy, and not all the time, of course. We all we all feel the same feelings or emotions with each other. And in this lesson is we're going to talk about how us or how does our emotions or feelings could help us or could not help us, of course, in decision making. So feelings and moral decision making. So feelings as a modifier of our moral decision making. So how feelings affect moral decision making. So according to several studies, they conclude that up to 90% of the decisions we make are based on our emotion. So feelings in decision making in general is an emotional state or reaction. So we I've said that we experience a physical sensation like joy, feelings of warmth, love, affection, and tenderness. So how does it affect us? So the research revealed that emotion constitute potent, so pervasive, it also predictable, but sometimes it's harmful and sometimes beneficial to us that driven our decision making. So across different domains, important regulatories appears in the mechanism through which emotions influence our judgment and our choices in life. So, how does feelings really affect our decision making? So, individuals' decisions are best understood as the interaction between reasons and emotions. So, when we are calm, of course, we are calm when it comes to different situations. Sometimes, when we are calm, we are slow and rational. We are calm in thinking of what are we going to do in the guides to our decisions. So, however, when we are angry or we have a strong emotion and place into a constraint or a clear thinking, for example, before an unpleasant encounter, you may decide if you encounter an unpleasant or yung hindi magandang pangyayari, pwede kang mag-decide if yung magiging calm ka lang, cool, or papairalin mo yung galit mo. So, yung emotions natin is talaga nagpe-play siya ng big part sa decision making natin. So, in decision making, we use logic, of course. So, using logic, we can justify our actions to ourselves and to others. So logic can't be justified nor anything else. So an argument that if some of set of assumptions are true or a certain rule are valid, there is no way to ensure that those conditions hold, and so there is no known way to prove the conclusion of an argument. So again, I've researched this on in the internet, of course. So researchers also shows that actual emotional state can influence the process of moral reasoning. And yung moral reasoning na yon na nakaka-influence sa atin is nadidetermine niya yung moral judgment natin. So sometimes we have internal battles, and usually those battles are between sa heart and mind natin. So, too much mind can lead to lack of emotion, too much focus, yung inability natin para makipag-interact sa ibang tao, and so on. So, yung mind natin is complex thing, and mahirap siyang i-manage sometimes, pero it does bring good things as well, such as yung wisdom natin, yung understanding, yung control natin, yung judgment natin, tsaka sa responsibility natin, of course. So, yung mind natin, kailangan din ma-complement in order na makaproduce siya ng magagandang things. So, dapat lagi tayong nag-iisip ng positive para yung piniproduce din ng mind natin is positive also. So, instead of the heart and the mind na nagko-contradict sa each other na naglalaban sila, maybe dapat nag-work together sila. Maybe yung mind is talaga is yung work niya is para i-help yung control ng emotions natin kaysa sa heart natin. And yung heart natin maybe was meant to give motivation sa mga ideas natin galing sa mind natin. So, maybe they were meant to hold hands instead to raise fists. Okay? So, decisions that starts with logic, with may need emotions to enable the final selection, particularly when confronted with near equal options. So, next. So, in decision making using our emotion, we have the pros and cons. But first, let me discuss what is the pros of emotional decision making. So, here, feelings are instinctive. So, they can be obstacle to making right decisions, but they can also help us making the right decision. So, meron bang advantages yung emotion sa decision making natin? So, when we feel positive emotions than negative ones, so it's difficult na sa situation are easier na yung mga difficult na situation mas easier nating i-handle kasi positive yung emotions natin eh. Mas pinangungunahan tayo ng positive emotion kaysa sa negative. So, positive emotions build our resilience. So, it means na the emotional resources needed for coping. So they are broaden our awareness. So letting us to see more options for problem solving, of course. So according din sa website na nakita ko sa internet, so according sa recent research nila, yung feelings or emotions natin meron siyang positive effect sa decision making. O some is identified as follow. Here, we have a totally emotional decision is very fast in comparison to our rational decisions. So these are reactive or yung largely subconscious natin. So it can be useful when faced with immediate danger or kaya pag nagdedesisyon tayo na merong onting significance or importance lang. So this is reactive. So and we can use this minimal significance sa decision making. So here sa pros and cons, emotions may provide a way for coding and compacting experience, enabling fast response perception. So, this point is why experts says na yung gut level ng decision making natin is merong high accurate or yung sinasabi nating tamang hinala. Usually, di ba, pag mayroon tayong tamang hinala, minsan um, accurate talaga yung hinala natin. Okay? So, decisions that start with logic may need emotions to enable the making, of course. So, Dito, ito na yung final selection, particularly when confronted to near equal options. So, according sa psychology, galing din to sa internet of course. So today, yung most ng decision natin are driven by our emotions. So even though most people think that they approach decision making through logic, yung emotions pa rin natin is more powerful. But logic is, we all know the ability to make decisions. So using logic, it sounds like rational thought. So, pinaprocess niya yon. And it's something that may be missing from our life kung wala tayong logic. So, emotions often drive us in direction conflicting with self-interest. So, it is necessary that the decision making um, includes emotions. Is always present sa pagde-decide natin. So, it should always be present in a judgment or pag may choices tayo. So, one feeling would may be determined as part of a moral judgment and it could what do you call this? It could be a way how we're going to succeed or pag ina-accomplish natin yung different goals natin or pag may sinusolve tayong problem or like dilemmas. So, with that, we're going to talk how uh, where feelings or how we tackle how feelings are responsible sa moral dilemmas. So, we can conserve it by serving it is as an obstacle. So, itong emotions talaga is obstacle din siya sa paggawa talaga natin ng right decisions. So, sometimes hindi lahat ng or not all the time is yung human has advantage sa decision making. Sometimes yung feeling can put us into disadvantages. Yung feelings natin minsan mas napapasama pa tayo dahil doon. So, in this part, feelings is instinctive, just like what I've said. When we say instinctive kasi, ito yung maaring first move natin or our first thing na papasok sa utak natin when it comes pag nag-iisip tayo ng solution sa isang dilemma. Like for example, may nakita tayo sa internet regarding sa, of course, malapit ang election. So, about sa politics, yung friend mo isang post siya ng about sa ganitong party. Ikaw hindi mo gusto yon. So, paano mo i-handle yung different issues na yon? O, syempre, if yung friend mo na yun is gusto yung candidate na yon, pero ikaw hindi. So, of course, papasok dito yung some people is magdi-disagree sa perspective mo and sa perspective ng kaibigan mo. Pero, some others will disapprove it nga. So, it's about how you handle different issues. Okay? So, here, sa decision making, meron din tayong mga cons. So, now let's talk about them and the feelings as an obstacle or the negative side of feelings in decision making. So, emotional decision making can also come with a negative number. So, we have when we make quick decisions without knowing why, and then create rational reasons to justify a poor emotional decision. So, just like what I've said kanina about sa gut feeling, what does a gut feeling feel like? So, ito yung connection natin sa brain sa uh, nagme-make siya ng possible emotional experiences para ma-register sa gas, what do you call this? Gastrointestinal, of course, distress. So, when we feel or when you feel anxious or kaya pag natatakot ka or yung certain thing na sometimes feeling mo talaga mali yun, minsan na-experience natin na parang yung stomach natin is parang hindi siya umaayon or kaya parang nagtitwing siya or in pain or what we call the nausea. Okay? So, yun yung sinasabi natin gut feeling. Dun nang galing yon. And then, next we have the intensity of emotions can override rational decision making and cases where it's clearly need. So, sa paggawa nga natin ng decisions natin, minsan na-override nung feelings or emotion natin yung pagde-decide natin. So, minsan hindi tayo nakakapag-decide ng maayos. So, in some cases, this can lead to unexpected and reckless action. So, syempre, pag immediate and unrelated emotions yung nakikreate natin, minsan nagkakaroon tayo ng biases sa judgment. So, minsan na-project natin yung emotions natin na nag-lead siya sa error. So, syempre, because people are subjected to systematic inaccuracy about how they will feel in the future. Or, syempre, here, yung moral statement as expression of feelings um, or values, mere expressions of feelings or emotions as claims by the linguistic philosophers. So, according sa mga philosophers na na-research ko, yung what they called tinatawag yung mga philosophers na yun na emotivist. So, yung statement as for example, stealing is wrong. So, yung stealing is wrong is not a statement of fact. Expression lang siya ng desire natin or emotions. So, yung rule na or maxim ng stealing is wrong means I desire that you do not steal or sinasabi niyang stealing is not wrong, is wrong, is sinasabi niyang gusto niyang wag kang magnakaw. Like that. So, an emotional statement is not verifiable like factual statement. For example, uh, si Pedro or Pedro stole my cat is verifiable. Pwede siyang established by evidence. Pero, Pedro's act of stealing my cat is morally wrong, which is equivalent to I desire that Pablo should not steal or sana hindi na lang ninakaw ni Pablo yung pusa ko. So, the following explains this ethical theory. So, I will be introducing two theories that could explain why the spilling could be an obstacle in helping us in making the right decision. So, the number one, we have ethical subjectivism, and number two, we have emotivism. So, the first one we're going to talk about is ethical subjectivism. So, here at ethical subjectivism, it is the theory about the nature of moral judgment. It is this theory is based on the ethical subjectivism or the moral judgment of people is innate, and it is the nature of the society, and ethical subjectivism is moral truth or ordinary facts about the world. So since na nature ng society yung ito nga paging moral judgment natin, yung different moral judgment is naging ordinary fact na lang. Ito when it comes to world, of course, so or when it comes to our society. So yung ethical subjectivism is more moral judgment. Simply, nagdi-describe siya ng personal feelings natin. Sees and that could explain it in ethical subjectivism. It's not just about mm, yung things na maganda or yung mga things na good and what are the things na bad. Also, ethical subjectivism, hindi niya to sinasabing sa atin na paano tayo mabubuhay. So, kailangan nating i-conform or yung sa society, yung mga rules and regulations natin para malaman natin yung moral standards and standards instead. So, it is the nature of moral judgment. Sabi ko nga kanina na it admits that moral judgment are the truth beggars. Ibig sabihin, yung mga moral judgment ng tao, yun yung nagiging katotohanan. So, in ethical subjectivism, it allows us to think for ourselves because it implies that we need not agreeing with the culture or the society. Yan yung one of the positive side or positive note ng subjectivism natin, regardless sa own opinion or perspective ng tao. So it allows you to think what do you want to think, what do you want or what would you be your standards as the part of society, and it suggests that we are to identify our moral principles by simply following our feelings. So in ethical subjectivism, the more we follow our feelings, the more now we will know what is our ethical principle. But on the other hand, the negative or the disadvantage for ethical subjectivism is that a weak foundation with some topics like slavery and racism and like slavery and racism discrimination like that the positive note is that it allows us not to agree with what society or culture dictates us. So meron dito sa ethical subjectivism, meron tayong own opinion. So but sometimes on the some points above it has a problem syempre. When it comes to these three topics, it may be negative or it is a negative thing sa every society. No, nor it has a large impact sa life ng person. So, if we use yung ating emotions sa sinasabi kong ethical subjectivism, isusundin lang natin yung emotions natin, malalaman na natin yung ethical principles na meron tayo. And kapag sinunod natin yung sinasabi kong example kanina tulad ng slavery, racism, and discrimination, it could be put aside kasi may sarili tayong perspective eh. Pag lalong-lalo na sa ibang tao, eto yung this tree has good impact for other people. So, hindi na niya mapapansin yung bad side. So, yung things na hindi maganda, magiging masama lang sa isang tao. Yung mga things na masama, minsan magiging maganda na yung sa tao kasi meron na tayong sariling perspective. So, these things would be good if gusto natin to. For example, gusto natin yung pang-aalipin ng ibang tao, magiging okay lang siya kasi tama yung pang-aalipin para sa atin eh. Kasi tama na siya kasi sinunod lang natin yung feelings natin doon. So, the last one under the ethical subjectivism is it is also has dangerous implications in the moral uh, standards. Okay, so how one's develop moral character or moral principle. So, throughout the time, so dun sa hinuhubog natin na ethical principles, since bata pa ata tayo, it could lead to dangerous implications in moral education. And it would be taught that they need to simply follow, which means yung mga tao is simula pagkabata would be tinuturuan na kailangan they need to simply follow like what are their likes or yung mga dislikes nila. So with that, using or expressing yung feelings natin as a part of an issue, ang pwedeng maging negative yung judgment natin when it comes to moral decision making. Kasi it provides us deficient guide or yung kulang na or insufficient guide, kulang nga yung guide nung ibang tao sa atin kaya nagiging mali siya. So, we need to develop yung proper feelings na when it comes to a certain thing and hindi na tayo magiging sensitive sa different topics ng society natin na nakikita natin. So, dito sa ethical subjectivism, yung theory na to is it tells us na we simply follow our personal feelings and emotions. Yun yung pinaka-summary ng ethical subjectivism. It tells us or we simply follow our personal feelings and emotions. Feelings at emotions lang ang pinaka-follow natin dito. So what would you do or what would happen if you simply follow your emotions? In your emotions, you may have different perspective with other people. So us na normal beings, pwede ding maging mali yung decisions natin sa certain point. Now, uh, it ends under it ends my discussion under the ethical subjectivism. Now I'm passing the floor to the next discussant.
Ayan po. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Diane Angeli Vicayabyab, and we're going to continue our discussion in emotivism. Emotivism is one of the meta-ethical theories that claims that ethical judgments or statements do not express propositions but rather emotional attitudes. According to this, moral judgments are neither logical truth or statements of fact. It says there that moral judgments are just expression or the speaker's feeling towards a certain subject. Next po. For example, according to emotivism, the statement stealing is wrong is not a statement of fact. It becomes an expression or a desire or emotion or a feeling of disapproval towards stealing. Stealing is wrong also means that I desire that you do not steal. Next po. Same is true with abortion. When I say abortion is bad, I also mean that I hate abortion. In emotivism, next po. It was expounded by Charles L. Stevenson, saying that moral judgments are significant because of their emotive impact. According to this theory, moral judgments attempt to influence other people by using emotion as its true and ideal power. Next po. Let us remember that in emotivism, moral statements are neither true or false because they only expresses our emotions and they simply attempt to influence people to side to their belief. Dahil pabago-bago yung emotions natin, we should not base our decision sa kung ano yung nararamdaman natin. Sabi nga sa kasabihan, do not make decisions when you're very happy or very excited. When you're too mad or angry because you might regret it. We should control ourselves dahil hindi natin alam kung anong kayang gawin natin kapag kontrolado tayo ng emosyon natin. Dapat tayo ang kukontrol sa sarili natin at hindi yung emotion natin. Next po. To summarize, while people believe that our moral decisions are influenced most by our philosophy or religious values, in truth, our emotions play a significant role in our ethical decision making. We should manage it well and consider its own magic. Next po. That would be all for today. I am Diane Angeli V. Cayabyab and together with Mark Justine Narte, I would like to thank you for listening.